it's just impossible to afford the car that you qualify for plus the mortgage that you qualify for. You'll have to make the ultimate sacrifice because it's just not possible with a salary. So some of you have been asking me for the affordability spreadsheet that I was showing you about how much car you can afford and about how much mortgage you can afford. So I've prepared something that you can use, and you will be able to download the spreadsheet that I'll be showing you here. So you can check it out on the description. It will have the link that's going to show you how to download the spreadsheet. So there's something called the 50-30-20% budget rule. So when you are budgeting, you must allocate 50% towards your needs, 50% of your net income towards your needs, and then 30% towards your wants, and then 20% towards savings. So I've also included this part that just explains what constitute needs and wants and savings. So here it shows that needs, it's your housing requirements like maybe rent or your mortgage, and then utilities like your electricity and water, the groceries, the transportation including your petrol or your public transport if you're using public transport, and then also the insurance that you have to pay, and also the minimum loan payments. So it's things that are non-negotiable. You need them in order to be surviving. And then the wants are things that are discretionary. You can actually be able to live without them, but they just enhance your lifestyle or make life much more comfortable. So it can be things like your dining out and entertainment, like going to movies, going out with friends, eating out. It can be things like your hobbies or recreational activities, like maybe going to the gym or vacation and travel, or getting yourself clothes or jewelry, or things like doing a beautiful hairstyle or buying your makeup. So it's those kind of things are wants, or your subscriptions, they are wants. And then 20% should be going towards savings, meaning that you need to be saving for your emergency fund, for your retirement. You need to be having a different kind of savings, and also you need to be paying back your loans as well. So additional debt repayments, like maybe settling certain credit cards. And then this tab here, it shows you how much car you can actually afford or qualify for from the bank. But it's important to note that what you qualify for from the bank doesn't mean that you should actually take up the offer, because sometimes they don't really see all your expenses. And also when you are completing your income and expenses, it's possible that you might end up understating some of the costs, which make it seem like maybe you do qualify for the car while you don't. And then there's also something called a residual or a balloon payment, meaning that it will reduce the installments that you are going to have to pay, meaning that you can qualify for a car that has a higher value. So you just want to be quite careful. So here, if you are earning a net monthly salary of maybe 10,000, the value of the car that you can afford is 100,000. Your installment is 2,000. Your monthly installment will be 2,000 rand. So this spreadsheet here, it goes down until over 100,000 to show you how much car you can actually be affording. So if you are earning 100,000, you can afford a car installment of around 20,000 rands. Afford meaning qualify. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to pay it off but still live in a house that's quite nice, plus also still able to take your kids to good schools and live a comfortable life and still be able to go on vacation. It's quite tricky, but we are going to be discussing it in the next spreadsheet. So, but on this template, you can actually be able to determine how much you can afford. So here on this line, it says how much is your net salary per month. So you can just input the figure here. How much are you earning? So for example, here we've put in 10,000, or maybe I can even make it like 22,500. And then your monthly car cost, so it shows you what your monthly car cost should not exceed. So it's auto calculated, so it means that it must not exceed 4,500. And then ideally the cost of your car should not exceed 225,000. So you can actually see from this spreadsheet how much car you can afford. So when it comes to car affordability, the rule of thumb is that your car expenses should not exceed more than 20 to 30% of your net salary per month. So how much mortgage can you afford or can you get approved for? So the rule of thumb is that it should not exceed 30% of your gross salary. It must not exceed 30% of your gross salary. So this also just takes care of the interest rate fluctuations as well. So on the spreadsheet, you'll be able to put in how much you are earning. So how much is your gross salary per month? You can put in the figure. So here the example is saying 15,000, but you can put in the amount that you are earning, and then it will also auto calculate. So let me just say maybe I'm earning 25,500, and then you'll see that it changes to 7,650, and then ideally the cost of your home should not exceed 717,000. And also here there's a table that just shows you how much if your gross income is at this level, 25,000, monthly installment must not exceed 7,500, qualifying home loan is around 703,000. But this just depends also on the interest rate at the particular time. So if you want a home that's around 2 million, it means that your gross salary should at least be around 70,000. Your gross salary. That's why sometimes maybe you want to be partnering up with someone in order to buy your dream home, because it might not be quite possible when you are alone. So on this tab, we have the practical example of the 50-30-20 budget rule. So we are going to be looking at an average earner here in South Africa. So on average, many people are earning around between 26,000 to 31,000 gross. So this example is saying that the person earns 27,000 rand gross per month. So the first example is based on someone who is approved for a 30% home loan, also 20% of their net goes towards the car to see if they can be able to afford. So if they are earning a gross monthly salary of 20,000, they are going to have their deductions. Let's assume that they are also contributing towards pension, where they'll be paying 2,025 rands. And then there's also tax, where they are paying 3,477. Yes, there's UIF, but they are not paying for, okay, they are paying for UIF, but I didn't include it here. And then let's say that they are not paying for medical aid, or maybe they're using their partner's medical aid and also other costs. So it's going to be here. So their net salary is going to come to 21,498 rands if we're deducting their deductions. So it means that in terms of this 50-30-20 budget rule, it means that their needs should be 50% of net, meaning that their needs should not exceed 10,749. And then their wants should not exceed 6,450, because it should be 30% of their net salary. And then their savings should at least be over 20% of their net salary, which is 4,300. And then you can see coming down here, if we go to the needs, this person, based on their salary, they are going to qualify for a mortgage, not afford, qualify for a mortgage of 8,100. And then car repayments, based on the 20% of net, their car repayment is going to be 4,300. And based on our calculation, this person, their needs must not exceed 10,749. But you can already see that if they can take up both the house that they qualify for plus also the car that they qualify for, it already brings this needs to 12,400. And this is excluding all the other costs, the cost of insurance, the cost of petrol, all these other costs is excluded, rates and taxes, their groceries to the, so already it takes it above. So just imagine if you still have to be maybe paying for petrol, paying for your utilities, you still need to be paying for buying groceries, you still need to be making minimum loan repayments on your credit cards or whatever loans that you might be having, like, or if you have a helper, you still need to paying for such things, your bank charges. It means that your needs already, they exceed 91%, because here the needs come to 19,476. And then once you find that maybe this particular person still wants to eat out with friends. They still want to go to the club and all that. They still go to the gym. They still paying for DSTV. And I've understated some of these prices. They still travel during weekends. Maybe they still do their hair, or if they're a guy, they are giving their girlfriend an allowance. You can already see that it does bring, okay, the ones to this 6,450, meaning that they have nothing to save and they have to finance their lifestyle through credit. They have to get more loans to finance their lifestyle because they are at a deficit of 4,427, meaning that they have to be cutting somewhere. But where can they cut? Maybe they can cut on some of their wants, or maybe they can cut on the wants, and then at least they won't be in debt. But is it realistically possible to be cutting on all the wants as well? And then let's look at the second example. So if you look at the second example, yes, earning the same 27,000, and then earning all the deductions are the same. They are all earning 21,498. It means that your mortgage, it's going to be, this person can afford maybe to take up a mortgage, must decide that are they going to be taking up a mortgage or are they going to be buying a car, because with a salary of 21,000 they won't be able to afford the life. So let's assume this person has chosen rent of 4,050, or has chosen to get a mortgage that also comes maybe with a subsidy of 4,050, which is like 15% of what they qualify for. And then let's also assume that they will be paying petrol, because they have to be going to work or they have to be using public transport to get to work. So they'll have the 1,500 transport bill, and then they still have to pay for their water, electricity, even if they are renting or whether they've bought, they still have to pay for those things. And then they still have to buy food, and these days 2,500 is quite little. It depends, are you buying only for yourself or is it an entire family? It also depends. Food has become very, very expensive. And then also they need to be paying insurance on this house, or maybe some people are paying insurance on the home things that they have or the contents that they have. It depends as well. And then they are also paying their minimum loan payment on their credit cards and all that. And then let's assume that they are not paying for medical aid, because it makes things worse if you are paying for medical aid. It just means that you can't even afford to be saving, because medical aid is also quite expensive, or you need to be on your partner's medical aid, because it's just 21,000 is just not enough money to be affording all these things. Or one needs to consider maybe a hospital plan or something. And then school fees, once you have kids, it just makes the needs to the ratio to be quite high, because if you have to factor in school fees for kids on this amount, it shoots it up very high. And then cell phone and internet, and I feel like this is understated, because these days having a cell phone is a need. Having internet, Wi-Fi is a need, but there's a thin line between a need and a want. If you feel like maybe you just want an iPhone 16 Pro Max, that's a want. It's not really a need. A phone that you can still use and it works fine, that is a need. But certain things, it ends up being wants. Also, when it comes to cars, there's a car that can move you from point A to point B. It's a need. But a certain kind of car, maybe in terms of performance and all these things, that's just a want. And then if you have to have a nanny helper, it will just become very expensive. But you can also add your other cost there. But you can see here, this thing is guiding you that the needs ratio here, because it came to 10,749, the needs ratio is sitting at 50%, where it should be. So also when you move to the wants, this person, yes, they're gonna still be able to dine out because they've kept their needs to a minimum. They'll still be able to do their hair. They'll still be able to do other things. So this comes to 6,450. And then going down, savings. So they are still going to be able to save their money, 4,300. And some of you might ask me, where should you be saving your money. I've actually done a video on the optimal order of investment, on how you should actually be saving your money. The first thing that you need to be prioritizing is your emergency savings, and your emergency savings should at least be 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. That is where you have to be investing your money at. Make sure that you have an emergency fund, so that you are able to cover up for whatever that comes up unexpectedly. And then also you need to be taking care of those high interest credit. Take care of them, try to settle them as fast as possible. And then you can also be investing towards your retirement account, but you just want to be watching that video. So this person will still be able to save 20% of their net income. So here where it says actual, this is where you'll be able to also input your own figures. So you'll come here and input the monthly, what's your monthly gross salary, and then put in the deductions here. It will calculate the total, and then it will also calculate the net salary, and then it will auto calculate these amounts here as well. And then you come and put in like your line items for your expenses. You can actually make changes as they suit you. You can delete things that you don't need, and you can add what you also need. And some of you can make adjustments to the other. Just put in the amounts, and it's gonna calculate the amounts for you, the totals for you, based on your own needs. It's quite easy to use. You just want to make sure that you're not deleting the formulas, and then this is going to guide you. Just use what's actually happening in your life right now. Take your bank statement and try calculate how much are you allocating towards your things, and ideally how much would you want to be allocating. So please share this video with people, and you also want to make sure to watch this next video.